I'm Blake Farmer, and this is Nashville. For quite a few years, you drive through some neighborhoods and have trouble finding any for sale signs. And now there's a house around the corner from me that's had one of those signs out for well over a year. 2025 saw a slight dip in home sales locally, basically flat compared to the prior year. There are more houses on the market. They are sitting longer, which is great for buyers. And prices, though, are not dropping much, at least on the whole. This is a real estate reality check, and your help is essential for this episode to go well. What are you seeing in your neighborhood? If you're looking to buy right now, what's your experience been like? We know the days of, offering way over asking price is over, but are sellers willing to budge on price? We're taking your calls throughout the hour. The number is 615-760-2000. You can also weigh in at youtube.com/@WPLN, where we're streaming video. Thanks for watching. The chat is live, or you can get it going if it's not yet. I'm not looking at it myself. Let's get started with a longtime realtor, Gabriella Lira with Compass Real Estate, who specializes in high-end homes in Middle Tennessee. Welcome to This is Nashville.
Thank you so much for having me.
We're going to talk all over. We've got home buyers who are sort of right in the median, folks who are looking at the high end. I wonder what is a luxury home buyer? What price is the cutoff now in Nashville?
Well, in our market, I believe it's about 1.2 million and above is considered luxury.
Yeah. Tell me about how things are moving at the high end of the market. I mean, I think you see things sitting for quite a while. What's been your experience?
Well, I will say that the luxury market outperformed the traditional real estate market in 2025.
Locally?
So, yes.
What does
and
outperformed
nationally
mean?
I don't have the exact numbers for
Okay.
you, but it did better. And why is because a lot of the people, ultra high net worth people, are less sensitive to things like interest rates,
Oh.
right? If you're paying cash for a home and interest rates are high, it's really not that huge of an impact for you.
Are people buying $1 million homes and up paying cash?
Oh, yeah. I'd say that I'm seeing people paying cash when it is $3 million and above. They're usually paying cash. Anything between
Usually.
Yes, anything between 1, 2, and 3, they are probably getting some type of a loan. And the other thing you have to keep in mind is when you are ultra high net worth, then you probably have long-standing banking relationships. So you are able to get preferred interest rates.
What are you seeing in terms of people in that stratosphere who are moving from the coast? So let's say L.A., New York. Is that where a lot of this business comes from?
It is. So we're seeing a lot of relocations. Nashville has always been a strong relocation market. And so that means that people who are moving here, making a job-related move. But then 2020 came and COVID hit and people were allowed to work from home. And then we not only became huge for work-related moves, but then lifestyle-related moves. We became number one in the country as well for lifestyle-related moves.
Lifestyle related, meaning people were like, I think the pace of life in the Nashville area is for me, so I'm getting out of the hustle and bustle.
That's right.
And I guess they consider us not hustle and bustle.
And it's fun here, right? You have the music and you have sports teams and you have now James Beard award-winning chefs and Michelin stars for restaurants. So there you go.
Are they surprised that their dollars may not go as far as they thought they might here?
Oh, yes, they are.
All right, tell me about that.
So I have people calling me thinking they're getting a mansion for $500,000. But when we talk about the neighborhoods they want to be in and the average price points in those neighborhoods, they have sticker shock.
Yeah. Well, to listeners now, if you're trying to sell a house, how are you feeling about the market? Any bites? Is it all lowball offers? Are you concerned about a bust that could be looming? Join us on air to share your experience. It really helps kind of bring the numbers we see each month and quarter and year, really bring those numbers to life. The number to call in is 615-760-2000 or use the chat at youtube.com/@WPLN. Let's go to the phones. We've got Jackson calling in from Donaldson. Jackson, you're on This Is Nashville. Go ahead.
Hey, Blake. Yeah, I was just calling in to say I flip houses with my brother. It's something that we started in 2020. And I think one of the things that I see a lot whenever I go to open houses and just search online for flips is that people are asking 2020 prices without a good renovation. So the ones that are just like white cabinets, like the basic builder flip, do not sell. But if you do a quality renovation, I see those going way quicker than the rest.
So you're saying that people are thinking that you could still just come in and do a flip without a whole lot of attention to detail and get top dollar, not so?
Exactly. Yeah, they're asking for top dollar for something that, in my opinion, needs another renovation.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
well, Gabriella, talk about this because I'm sure you've got some firsthand experience.
Oh,
too.
yeah. So 100% agree. So now there's a lot more inventory on the market, meaning a lot more competition. So how will your house stand out from all of these other houses, perhaps even in your same neighborhood? You have to get your home ready for sale. And that means that any repairs, deferred maintenance, it has to look nice. So any small renovations you can make, staging helps quite a bit now. So your house has to look great, smell great, great curb appeal. I mean, we've all walked into that house and you're thinking, did they just cook? Or wait a minute, I know for a fact that they have a dog in this house because I could smell this dog. So all of those things are very important. When buyers are walking through your home, you want to make sure that they get an ideal experience. And I'm sure our caller is a fantastic flipper, but I've seen some terrible flips out there because people are stuck, like he said, in this 2020 mentality where you just slap whatever on, throw it on the market, and it's going to sell. And that is not the market that we are in anymore.
Though it's interesting because Jackson refers to 2020 prices, but I mean, the truth is prices are actually higher than they were then.
Average prices are higher than they were then. And it seems to be that they're not going down, even though inventory is higher and days on market are higher. I am seeing a lot of sellers, and for you people that follow Zillow religiously, you're seeing price cuts just like I am. Why the overall data is not reflecting that, I'm not sure if it's that it just has not caught up, or maybe overall people are not lowering their prices.
Well, let's get on this. And Gabriella, who you can see this if you're watching on YouTube right now, but she almost decided to introduce Ken Chilton, who's sitting over here, which because this is exactly the kind of thing he should weigh in on. A professor at Tennessee State University, just down the road. Ken, what are we seeing? Like, what gives with prices continuing to go up even as the market slows down?
It's a good question. I don't have the definitive answer, but I think Zillow and the various websites or algorithms are part of the problem. I look online and it tells me my home's worth $749,000, and the market's telling me it's not worth $749 million or $749,000. Perhaps I ignore that and just wait for that person from California that we discussed to come and buy it.
Which might happen, right?
It could. Or I take it off the market, like in my neighborhood, someone's had a house on the market for 5 months. They just took it off. They'll probably wait another 2 or 3 months for warmer weather and relist it at the same price.
Yeah.
Would be my guess.
Let's go to the phones, and we're taking calls all hour, and things are ringing here. The number is 615-760-2000. Everybody has a little bit different experience. And, numbers that we get on the aggregate level tell us one thing, but your particular story, your anecdote actually really helps too. So please chime in here, 615-760-2000, or talk to us on the YouTube stream, YouTube at WPLN. YouTube/@WPLN. All right. Christine in Nashville, you're on the show. Go ahead.
Okay. Hi. I bought my house on Villa Place, which is one block off of Music Row.
Villa Place, yeah.
I bought it in
Edge Hill.
1986 for $42,000.
Wow.
It is now It's now valued at close to $1 million. I'm not going anywhere because it's my home and I raised 5 kids here and everything. But it is kind of stunning how costly everything is. But I realize that across the street from me, my old neighbor, Mr. Huff, died at 102, and his house was bought by Kohler Company, and it's totally renovated, and it's been vacant for a very long time. Ready for what? I don't know, but it's very fancy now.
Oh.
So I think that's kind of a driver too, isn't it?
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about that, Christine, about kind of the I don't know if that's a corporation that would be buying a house and remodeling, but Ken, can you talk a little bit about this, about the business of renovating houses got so good for a few years that all kinds of companies were getting into it. What are we seeing?
Yeah, researchers talk about the financialization of housing. It's no longer like my parents' generation where you buy a home and you live in that home, you raise your kids. Now it's about maximizing your asset value. Corporations are doing it, and in the housing industry, you have more middlemen or middle people than you used to who are all making money in the housing market. The first call about flipping, again, you're looking to buy a home cheap, put in the renovation, sell, and make 25, 35%. All of that has a inflationary impact on housing prices.
Yeah, and what's that doing to the market when everyone's looking to maximize that asset? And I mean, nobody is trying to keep housing affordable, certainly.
Where I see it most is on the supply of affordable housing. We used to talk about kind of filtering down, low-income housing filters down. I move out, somebody moves in mine. But now, again, you have more people, more competition trying to buy that house. And when they do, they don't keep it affordable. Nashville has experienced this over the last 20 years, tearing down 800 to 1,200 square foot homes, building tall skinnies. That entire supply that used to work for lower income households and working class households is gone. And it's converted to rental housing, pushing out towards Madison and towards Bellevue and north of Nashville, people who have less means. So it's created challenges for mayors and policymakers.
Let's take another call. Cameron in Murfreesboro, you're on This Is Nashville. Go ahead.
Yeah, I've been living here since about 2011. I moved in my apartment about 2012. And just to put numbers to this, really, when I moved into that apartment, I was paying $750 a month. Now, I'm paying over $1,300, and that's considered a steal in my area.
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
And I even have a friend who was able to secure a home just before the boom really started going off, and he was able to secure a house, like a 2 or 3 bedroom with a garage, for under $170K. Now, easily that house goes for $350,000. And I'm trying to start a family. I'm trying to get ahead in this market.
Yeah.
And when I'm locked in a lease I can barely afford in a market where the goalpost just keeps moving forward, because as your guest pointed out, homes are not treated as necessities. They're treated as assets now. It's getting to the point where people just trying to start their life are getting priced out of the market. And realistically, I'm at a point now, due to other circumstances involving my family, where I have to move. I can't afford to live here anymore.
Cameron, really appreciate your comments. And if if you're somebody who's sitting on the sidelines trying to just hoping to be able to afford a house one day, would love to hear from you this hour. The number is 615-760-2000. Gabriella, I mean, this first-time homebuyer thing, I just can't help but think of, our first house we bought in town was less than $200,000.
Yeah.
Those same houses are like $600 now.
Oh, yeah.
And we're talking just over
absolutely.
the last less than 20 years.
And to his point, you're paying so much for rent that it's hard to save for a down payment for a home. I've heard of a lot of people doing side hustles, driving for Lyft on their time off and on weekends.
So they can buy a house.
Save for the down payment for their home.
Yeah.
So I hear you.
Currently, what are buyers tending to need? I mean, the 3% doesn't do it anymore often,
3%
right?
still does it.
It does?
Yeah, it does. You could get a conventional loan with 3% down, FHA 3.5%. So Yes, but even getting to that 3% with rents being so high, as you heard from that caller, it's hard.
Yeah, Cameron, if you're still there, like what's you said you're thinking you might just need to leave. Are we talking about moving farther out of town or just finding a cheaper part of the country?
And that gets into more just personal matters with my
Sure.
family. The short of it is we recently had a death in the family, and I have to move because I have family that needs help. Not to mention just we were originally trying to get settled in here for the sake of my father-in-law because he could get better medical treatment here. But as we saw the goalposts just keep moving away from us, it wasn't viable anymore.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, and your guest mentioned doing Lyft. I mean, I ended up actually quitting a full-time job and started doing Lyft full-time. I'm actually doing it right now because I was in a circumstance where I just had to make a change.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to get by every day at this point.
Cameron, what you're experiencing is right in line with so many people. Ken Chilton.
Yeah, and to his point, even with lower interest rates, because that's often blamed for why people can't afford, you could have an interest rate of 1%, and when your home is $300,000 to $350,000, that doesn't help Cam.
Right. Well, no doubt about it. We're taking calls all through this hour, and people have a lot to say. And please hold on the phones, and because we're going to get to you. But we do need to take our first break. The number is 615-760-2000. Listen, housing affordability, it strikes a nerve with a lot of us because this is your community. We'd love to hear your story, how you're navigating right now. Stay with us. This is Nashville. I'm Blake Farmer, and this is Nashville. So nationally, home sales are at a 30-year low. We think of Nashville as booming, but we're seeing much of the same thing. Activity has slowed quite a bit compared to where we were 4 years ago. One thing has not fallen, and those are prices. The median price to buy a single-family home in the Nashville area is holding strong right at $500,000, which is a little hard to explain, but we're trying. We've brought in Professor Ken Chilton of Tennessee State University. Thank you for being here. And Gabriella Lira, a realtor with Compass, who is here helping us take your calls. My question to listeners, we're taking calls throughout the hour. Are homes moving where you are? Are they sitting? How's the market changed for you? Plans for buying, selling, renting, moving, investing. The number to join on air is 615-760-2000, or you can use the chat at youtube.com/@WPLN, where we're streaming video. Let's go straight to the phones. Michael, I think you're calling in from Inglewood. You're on This is Nashville. Go ahead.
Hi. Thanks for having me on. I've been in my home for 15 years. My mom grew up in the neighborhood. I can't afford to go anywhere. I couldn't afford my house today, but my long-term goal is to, when I do finally move, to be able to sell my house to a first-time home buyer family at below market value, just to kind of undercut the profiteers.
Michael, tell me why you're inspired to do that.
I grew up here. I don't think my house or my neighborhood is worth what people are charging for that now. The infrastructure is basically the same as it was 15 years ago, but the prices are 3 times as much. And I value the community in Nashville, and I want other people to have that opportunity. And that's just my goal, is because when I moved in, Inglewood was mostly blue-collar, older people that had been there for 30 years.
Yeah.
And my neighbor would come bring me cookies and stuff.
Aw.
I love the community, and I feel like the way to keep that going is to allow first-time family home buyers to actually build roots and establish in the neighborhood.
Well, Michael, it's a beautiful idea, and you've actually got an offer. I think from I think Liv is making an offer right now. It says we'll buy your house for under market value. Liv's our board operator back here.
And guess what? First-time home buyers is not a protected class, so there you go. You could do that all day.
Well, all right. You've also got a realtor apparently. So, well, Michael, thank you for sharing, and it says a lot. I do kind of wonder how that would work. I mean, Gabriella, is there a challenge if you wanted to like do somebody a favor and sell for less than your house is worth?
No.
You can do it all day.
Yeah.
Ken,
it's your house.
It's your house. Well, Michael, I don't know if you'll inspire others, but we shall see. Well, we're gonna kind of turn to the nations for a bit. One way the city is looking to increase affordability is by allowing more density in parts of town. And of course, as we'll discuss, density doesn't necessarily create a direct path to affordability. But we're going to bring in Metro Councilman Rollin Horton, whose district includes the Nations, which has been kind of a case study in, is the word densification? Is that a word? Welcome to This is Nashville, Councilman Horton.
Thank you for having me, Blake.
Well, has more density resulted in affordability in the Nations?
The Nation's neighborhood plan has only recently passed. And so I think rather than flip a switch and all of a sudden we're experiencing affordability, I think it's something we're likely to grow into over the next 10, 20, 30 years.
Yeah. So you're saying the density that has been created over the last, 5, 10 years was before this plan.
That's correct.
Is that your point? Well, what I was poking around Zillow this morning, like you do, and
as one does.
The only homes I could find below the median price in Nashville and the Nations were actually these older homes that Ken was talking about, not new ones. What does that tell you?
Yeah, I think it shows that up until very recently in the Nations, we prohibited these more traditional, more affordable housing types like duplexes, quadplexes, townhomes, and things like that. They were historically available throughout Nashville's history before being made illegal in recent decades. And so what the Nation's neighborhood plan was attempt to deliver on a lot of our goals as a community, these more traditional housing types, to re-legalize things like townhomes, quadplexes, and things like that can provide a more affordable option for people, as well as cater to people at different stages of life and different lifestyles.
Could provide a more affordable option, but like what's being built, I mean, I'm thinking about Green Hills that I drive through every day. I mean, they're building 4 on one lot, a lot of places, and they're not even, they're $1 million each.
Mm-hmm. Well, the question here is what type of housing are we going to build? We can either have larger and larger single-family homes, which are regularly going for over $1 million now, as you've discussed, or we can allow the option of allowing the cost of that land to be split between more units, whether that's 2 or 3 or 4. Mm-hmm. And we can divide the cost of the land by more units. It allows the cost per unit to decrease.
We're taking your calls this hour, and they're coming in hot and heavy. The number is 615-760-2000. Everybody's had a different experience in the housing market. Whether you're looking to buy, you're looking to sell, you're hoping that one day you'll be able to afford to. Let's take a call from Jack. And if I'm not mistaken, Jack, this is the president of the Greater Nashville Association of Realtors, correct?
That is correct. Thanks, Blake.
Well, what are you seeing?
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone that's both called in and those that are speaking on your show have made some really great points, and it shows the complexity that's happening inside Nashville. And a lot of it is around mindsets about whether you're someone who's from Nashville originally or been here for a long time, or you're someone who's moving in first. You have a very different idea of what affordable is. You have a very different idea of what density is and what congestion is and those things. So there's always a lot of, back and forth as to how people try to spin what's going on in Nashville. I do think overall the points that have been made are that there are a lot of homes that sit, but a lot of times that's because they haven't done they're what we call bad inventory, right? They're either overpriced or they're homes that haven't done the little bit of legwork that Gabriella spoke about in making sure that they're prepared and ready for, that buyer that is really excited and going to spend a lot of money. Because when you guys bring up the interest rate portion, or the down payment, what people aren't realizing is that with a 6% interest rate on a $500,000 home, you're thinking something close to a $3,000, $4,000 mortgage. It wasn't like when we were seeing things in the $1,800 and $1,900 like what you would see in a rent. So when there's this huge disparity between rent and home ownership, that's where we're going to have that really tight congestion. And when it comes to home prices still going up, you have to remember that the only things that are counting in that average are homes that are selling. And those homes are homes that people want. You know, you don't count in homes that just get taken off the market or that don't. So that doesn't go into that why home prices aren't going down, because most of the time those homes are just not selling.
You're saying it might be less if people were willing to budge on price, but they're just sort of holding on and changing their plans, whatever those might be.
And you have to remember that most people that currently own a home maybe either bought during the boom or refinanced during that time to an interest rate that puts them down at that's where that really tight market is how do you convince a person that currently owns to make any type of lateral move? Because right now they're probably going to pay more for something similar.
Jack, and help me if I'm not pronouncing your last name right, Goggin?
It's Gone, like Gone with the Wind.
Gone. Well, forgive me. Jack Gone, president of the Greater Nashville Realtors. Really appreciate your insights.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much.
Well, Ken Chilton, do you want to reflect on any of that?
Yeah, I think the point by one of the callers previously in Inglewood was talking about how prices were so much higher. The issue is, if I want to cash out and stay in Nashville, where do I go? So, yes, I do have a lower mortgage rate or
but where
rate,
to?
But where to? I'm not going to be able to move up because I'm going to have to spend another $300,000 to go to that next neighborhood. I think that's important. And on the density side, I agree with the council person. Nashville is about 1,400 to 1,500 people per square mile, compared to like Charlotte, North Carolina, that's about 2,400 to 2,500 people
Wow,
per square
Charlotte
mile.
is considerably more dense than Nashville.
Yeah. It's not as big geographically, I don't think. But in terms of population density,
because that counts all the way to the county line, which we have some very rural areas in Davidson County still. Interesting.
But I think in terms of zoning and allowing smaller units makes a lot of sense to deal with that cost of land issue. And the other issue is building an affordable new unit is more and more challenging. I was looking at construction data today. Cost of AC, cost of lumber, cost of across the board, asphalt, cabinetry, 20 to 50% over the last 5 years across the board. Yeah. It's hard to build sticks and bricks a housing unit that is affordable.
Yeah. Well, Councilman Horton, I mean, you've been through the ringer, is putting it mildly, over your plans that ultimately lead to more density. Building quadplexes, duplexes, condos in places where they weren't allowed before. You've had so much resistance, and a lot of people accuse those people of kind of being not in my backyard kind of folks, put the density somewhere else. But like, what are the other options for creating affordability? Because it's so many people say, yeah, I want affordability. What are the alternatives?
Yeah, a lot of people have suggested the idea of subsidized housing, of public housing. And I think an important point that we have to recognize there is that our planning department released a study which showed 91% of Nashvillians cannot afford a typical home in the city. It's more than 99% for Black and Hispanic families. We can't afford to subsidize 91% of the population. And so the solution is providing more middle-income housing of the types that we're talking about rather than subsidized housing.
Yeah, but as Ken says, I mean, at least at this moment, and maybe that'll change the cost of building, but it's hard to imagine it, frankly, at this moment. Like, if building something new is only going to get more expensive, then how could something new create affordability,
Yeah, the question is, we're going to continue to grow. We're going to continue to build new housing. The question is, do we build the types of housing that are most expensive for residents, or do we allow just the option of these more affordable housing types? And they're not going to be capital A affordable housing as in subsidized housing, but they're more affordable than what the alternative is. Yeah. And if we can slow the rise in the rise of housing costs to below the rise of incomes, we can start to get a grapple on this and make housing more affordable for Nashvillians.
Do you think this new DADU ordinance that everyone's so hyped about will help with any of that?
And for DADU, that's what detached accessory dwell. This is sort of like the cottage in the backyard, right?
That's right. So the council just in the last month legalized a new housing type for a big portion of Nashville, detached accessory dwelling unit, or DADU, as she mentioned. What this is, it typically takes the form, as you said, of a backyard condo or apartment. something like above the garage apartment that your in-laws can live in. It's a traditionally very affordable type of housing that Nashville historically allowed throughout the city, and we just recently re-legalized. And I think this is an exciting opportunity both to add more housing stock as well as to add a housing stock type that is more affordable for Nashvillians.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how that plays out. Let's work through a couple of calls before we go to our final break. Matthew in Goodlettsville, you've been very patient with me. I'm sorry, I'm just now getting to you. Matthew in Goodlettsville, you're on This is Nashville. Go ahead.
Yeah, no problem. Appreciate it. Thank you. A lot of things have been brought up, and one of your previous callers, I apologize if I'm misspelling or misspeaking his name, Cameron, I believe, said he was going to have to move.
Yeah, that was Cameron in Murfreesboro.
I think that's a big thing, actually, that could be a bad thing, unfortunate, or it could also be a positive. I had to move to Nashville 12 years ago to afford a house from Seattle, Washington, because it was a comparable issue. It was just not possible. Given my employment and what I did for a living, I was involved in the music business, so Nashville was an easy move for me.
Yeah.
Somewhere else that was affordable, but I could still perform the same work.
Gabriella, go ahead, Matthew. Sorry.
No, that's just a lot of those things I think maybe get overlooked. It's not just about being able to afford a home. It's about going somewhere where you can work in a career, even if you have to make a career change, that allows you to afford a home.
Yeah.
So it's not just a home, I think.
Gabriella, are you seeing any of that on the realtor? I mean, obviously you work for buyers and sellers. I mean, people selling because they need to actually go somewhere that is more affordable?
I get a little bit of that, not as much as people will think. But, you know, Jack called earlier and said it's a lot about perspective, right? And where you're coming from and where's that benchmark that you're starting from. I know that I grew up in Los Angeles, South Los Angeles, which wasn't particularly the desirable part of town. And our home was $400,000, 15 years ago there. And that was like a very low priced home. Right. So you translate that to today and here, and there are still some homes that are, under $500,000 that are nice.
Yeah. I'd like to jump in on that point as well, because the point is that people deserve the right to live in the communities that they work in. And when we force people to live farther and farther outside the city to be able to afford a home, it imposes significant costs on them. They have to commute further and further into their job. It also imposes costs on the rest of us because we're creating more traffic as people have to travel farther in, to the point that Nashville is now ranked the worst commute in America. At the same time, accelerating sprawl throughout all parts of the county and our ring counties has destroyed some of the most beautiful parts of Davidson County. Tennessee now ranks third in the nation for the destruction of farmlands and woodlands. Mm-hmm. In a beautiful state like Tennessee, these are not the necessary or inevitable results of city growth, but the results of bad policy decisions that we've made as a city. So people need to be able to afford to live in the neighborhoods that they work in, and it also benefits the rest of us to provide people that option.
A great point. Let's take one more call. Monica calling from Smyrna. Go ahead.
Yes, hello.
Monica, thanks for calling in. You're on This is Nashville. Go ahead.
Yes, I live in a neighborhood that I bought before it got outrageous. And since I've moved in, about 40% of our small neighborhood is now rental properties like Progress and American Home for Rent. And my question is, how do you regulate these companies? Because my neighbor just had to move out in one of these rentals because they raised the rent $600 more per month on top of what he was already paying. And so with the density issue, even in these suburban neighborhoods, we're seeing these rentals that are having to be divided between 4 to 6 working adults taking each bedroom. We get so many cars having to park on the street now, like emergency vehicles and school buses can't drive down the streets because there's cars lined on both sides. I mean, people are renting out rooms in 1,200 square foot houses for $800 a month.
Wow.
It just seems like there should be some kind of oversight to keep this type of price gouging coming from these rental houses.
Well, Monica, thank you for your call. And, President Trump was talking today in Davos, Switzerland, said a lot of things, but he talked a little bit about housing, kind of reiterating his policy to try to restrict the corporate ownership of homes, saying something to the effect of, we don't want America to be a country of renters. Ken Chilton of TSU, you've been looking into this. What do you see?
Yeah, I started looking at this data about 8 years ago. We had about 8,000 homes in the region owned by the main private equity companies and real estate investment trusts. That's doubled over the last 8 years. And part of the problem is she's living right in the epicenter of this region, Murfreesboro, Smyrna 24 corridor, of where these companies own 25 to 50% of neighborhoods. So it's created a lot of problems. Their business model is rooted in annual rent changes, annual fees, extracting as much as they can from local renters. But those people who owned and bought are now living in communities that are radically different than they were. Now, the president is talking about trying to limit that. Those companies have transitioned more to a build-to-rent model where they're building entire neighborhoods that are strictly rental. So
you're saying that we're sort of on the back end of at least the buying up of whole neighborhoods.
Yes.
Now they're building whole neighborhoods,
Indeed.
but to the same effect.
Yeah, they bought up portfolios of foreclosed upon homes back in 2013 through 2016.
So nationally, I just read a figure that number for institutional owned homes was about 1.2% of all of home buyers.
Yes.
Do you know what that is locally?
Locally, we're around anywhere from 8 to 12%. And they only focus on certain markets. They're only in fast-growing markets like Nashville, Charlotte, some Florida markets, some Texas markets.
Did you say 10 to 12%?
Yes.
Like 1 in 10 homes owned by a corporate entity?
Yes.
Wow. So you look nationwide, you get 1% in that neighborhood. You look locally, and it has a much bigger effect. Monica, you got your finger on something there. Thank you so much for the call from Smyrna. We need to take our last break. We're also saying goodbye to Councilmember Rollin Horton, bringing in Dexter, a new a house hunter. So stay with us. This is Nashville. I'm Blake Farmer, and this is Nashville. What people are looking for in a house is always changing. What do people want right now in Nashville? Is it a big yard? Is it a short commute? 2 stories, white picket fence, a coffee shop on the corner, walkability, privacy? Depends on the person, doesn't it? But, trends are surfacing. What are you seeing? How is that different from maybe the old days? You can join us on air. Thank you to so many who've been calling in today. In fact, there's enough have called in that some have just given up and hung up. And I apologize that we didn't get to you. But the phone lines are open now, 615-760-2000, or chime in at the live video stream, youtube.com/@WPLN. We've got panelists TSU's Ken Chilton, Gabriella Lira, who is a realtor here in town with Compass. And joining us, walking right off the street, is Dexter Evans, who, bless this man, who chipped a tooth this morning. Fortunately, he's married to a dentist.
What?
And I guess he got it fixed and is still here with any Novocaine still lingering?
You can't make this up.
So bless Dexter if he's, maybe.
If he starts drooling, we'll know why.
We'll let you know, but you'll have to watch the YouTube stream to find that. So Dexter, you agreed to be on here because we were looking for somebody who's in the thick of it, a house hunter. What are you guys looking for?
Yeah, thanks, Blake. Yeah, we moved to Nashville about 3.5 years ago, and it has been a place that's been a place of refuge for us. My wife's a dentist in healthcare, and I'm in music preservation. And so it's 2 economies that make the most sense for us and our family. We're looking for a single family home for our 2 toddlers, right? We have a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old, and so looking for some space, yardage, probably a single floor, so that we can, be close to the kiddos, especially while they're young. But we want to live in Nashville, especially because it's a booming town. It's a place that, you can go anywhere and there's something new around every corner.
Well, Councilman Horton was talking about this, like people deserve to live near where they work. Have you found that possible at the price range you're looking at?
Yeah. So, we came in, we were thinking my wife did a year-long residency at Meharry Medical College, right? That was our test moment. We still have a home in Fort Worth, and we're like, are we going to live here or are we going to move back to Texas, right? We found that, especially myself at the National Museum of African American Music, where I serve as the deputy director, my job's about 10 minutes away from where we are currently renting in Bordeaux, right, in North Nashville. And we found community through Bordeaux, through that museum, right? The sort of Black middle class, especially that are supporting that museum from a donor perspective, a lot of them still live in that area, right? When we did our research of where we would live in Nashville prior to moving here, we found that Bordeaux was the area where TSU professors and Meharry doctors had historically lived. And so we were like, this is where we want to be.
That's right. It has rich roots, great history. And that is when they were not welcomed in other neighborhoods. This class of doctors and lawyers and professors that were Black went and established this wonderful neighborhood. And we want to reclaim that.
So, the area you're talking about is also a part that, we're in Metro Center. You look across, I assume it's technically Bordeaux. You look across the river there, man, they've built tall skinnies, all have a beautiful view of downtown. Like, have you been able to find something there you can afford? Obviously you're still on the prowl, it sounds like.
Yeah, we're on the prowl. And, thanks to a realtor who actually lives in the Bordeaux community. Who's closing homes with families that want to do exactly what you just said, reclaim the neighborhood.
Really?
She's pulling us into spaces, especially in the Enchanted Hills area, right? Some of those older spaces where you have those mid-century moderns that were built in the 70s and early 80s. And these are the sorts of homes that there might be 2 or 3, any given day, right? And thankfully enough, they are in our price range, which is around $500,000.
So, right at the median for Nashville now, which is hard to believe that $500,000 is the median, but here we are. So how competitive is it? Like, do you feel like you can be choosy, or is it like, listen, if something comes on at that price point, you're going to have to move still, even though things have slowed down on the whole?
Yeah, you definitely have to do that.
Really?
It's like I said, it's at any given day, it's 2 to 3 years. And this is something that we'd been scoping for the time we've been here. After deciding that we would be here for that year, we took the 2 years to prepare for the home buying process.
As a real estate agent, I thank you for that. But, going back to what Jack said, the desirable homes, they are still moving.
I see.
And you're looking for something very specific that a lot of other people are also looking for. So when yours comes on the market, you have to move on it quickly.
Absolutely.
We got a comment on the YouTube video stream from Metal Dirt, who says, I had talked to builders. We toyed with moving in the same area, and they mentioned the cost of land made it significantly less profitable to build average homes. We're out near Thompson Station. If you want to chime in there, it's an easy place to leave a comment at youtube.com/@WPLN. Dexter, as we're looking, and as you say, there's only a few houses available at any given moment that sort of fit your criteria. Have you looked elsewhere, moving out of town, or is that kind of a non-negotiable for you guys?
I would say it's a bit of a non-negotiable, especially as a historian and someone who cares about representing underserved communities and investing in those sorts of communities. This is, like I said, we intentionally moved to this part of town. We intentionally rented and now are home buying and seeking in this part of town. And so, thankfully enough, there is communities and there are homes within that community where we can talk to people, we can talk to families, and they're like, yeah, we are thinking about selling, or we are thinking about,
You're saying you're talking to them maybe before it's on the market, but you're really making connections. That's interesting. Well, so if you are, being so diligent about this, is there anything that affects your timing? For instance, we hear kind of nationally, well, are we waiting for interest rates to drop more or something else to be kind of make it more worthwhile to wait? Would prices drop? Is there any reason that you all would slow down related to those kind of like national factors?
Yeah, we're definitely research based in our approach, and so one of the things that we're thankful for is while we have we're high earners and we have strong credit, we still are looking for programs, and we found a strong program that's 100% financing, no PMI, and all of the things that we would want for. I think the cap for that loan program is $500,000, and we're like,
oh, so you need to keep it under that, or else.
Mm-hmm.
Or else you don't qualify.
Wow. Right. Ken Chilton, can you sort of put this in perspective for us, this kind of home buyer journey at this moment in this market?
Yeah, I will try. I don't know. I want to say to Dexter, I appreciate the fact that you're looking in the community and looking to give back, because across the country, this has been an issue where communities of color especially have been kind of hit hard by investors trying to get properties cheap. So the fact that people are paying attention and want to see that the neighborhood remains a strong place for an African-American middle class. And so I'll tip my hat to you on that. I think that going back to my original comment on financialization, the more that housing is simply seen as an asset that I can trade and maximize, I think we're going to I don't see, absent some type of major market crash, and there are some pessimists out there that are predicting that, I don't see housing prices easing very much. You've got anywhere from 30 to 50,000 unit shortage in Nashville of affordable housing, and nationwide over 4 million units. So I'm more on the pessimistic side when it comes to price in terms of...
Well, and even today in Davos, President Trump said the house values have gone up tremendously and these people have become wealthy, as in people who own homes. Every time you make it more and more affordable for somebody to buy a house cheaply, you're actually hurting the value of those houses. Is there something to that?
Well, that gets back to say I want to cash out.
Yeah.
I can't cash out in Nashville because I got to spend the same amount or more to get the same product. Yeah. So, I mean, if prices went down, you could cash out and buy a similar house at the lower prices if the market moves up and down like that.
Gabriella, I wonder as a realtor how many times you're in a position where somebody's thinking of selling and then they realize they don't have anywhere that they can sell and go. Like they're thinking of, let's call it cashing out, but there's like, there isn't cashing out to be done if you're staying here.
Sure, quite a bit. And, these are the people that got a really great interest rate and they have a certain payment and they want to move because maybe they've outgrown their house now and their kids are growing up and it's starting to feel tight and they want to go to the next place. But with interest rates being high, what they can afford is less. However, we have strategies for that, right? You can ask the seller to buy down your interest rate, whether it's a temporary buy down or it's a permanent buy down. So it is part of, the negotiation process.
I'm not sure I knew that was a thing. Is that happening much these days?
It's happening quite a bit, especially with inventory being higher and homes staying on the market longer. If the reason you're not moving is because you're scared of having a higher interest rate, tell your agent to explore this with you.
Well, Dexter Evans, what's your sort of goal? When do you want to have this thing done, closed?
Yeah. So we are in a 12-month lease currently. That lease is up May of 2026, and so by March we are ready to start closing the deal.
All right.
Ooh, good luck. That's exciting.
Well, best of luck. Thank you so much for making the time to be here and be on the show. Thank you to Ken Chilton from TSU and from Realtor Gabriella Lira. Really great conversation. And thank you to everybody who called in, bringing your insights and your anecdotal reports from your part of Middle Tennessee. It really was fruitful. Thanks for tuning in this hour. This is Nashville's a production of Nashville Public Radio. If you missed yesterday with conductor Leonard Slack, and it's a good one, he's back for a 3-year stint leading the Nashville Symphony, talked about his vision for reviving interest in classical music here. Also talked quite a bit about the Kennedy Center kerfuffle in D.C. since he spent a long time as director of the National Symphony Orchestra. Listen at thisisnashville.org, your podcast feed, or watch it on the WPLN YouTube page. Today's episode was produced by Josh Deepen, directed by Tasha A.F. Limley. Phones, Mary Mancini. Board operator is Liv Lombardi. The masterminds behind our theme music are Larange and Namir Blade. Special thanks to realtor Tiffany Capehart for helping us connect here. And the conversation doesn't have to end. You can comment, tell us what you want to hear on the show by leaving us a message at 615-751-2500. This is Nashville. I'm Blake Farmer. Go in peace.